Hello, my name is Luna. I'm graduated in tourism and hotel management. I'm from Buenos Aires City, Argentina. I'm 27 years old, and when I was 23, I went to live in Mexico, where I lived for a year. Then I went to Brazil, where I lived for 2 years. In both countries, I work in tourism. Last year, I came back, and now I'm living in Buenos Aires, where I was born. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my city. Buenos Aires is the capital of Argentina and the city with the largest population in the country, with approximately 3 million inhabitants. Those born in Buenos Aires are popularly called porteños. Buenos Aires, located on the banks of Rio de la Plata, is a cosmopolitan city, and it is considered one of the most important tourist destinations in South America. Most of its development began with the arrival of European immigrants during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This is why Buenos Aires has a great European influence and why it is considered the Paris of South America. In this video, I will talk a little about our football, and I will show you one of the most important stadiums in Buenos Aires. I will also show you the most emblematic and touristic places to visit. I will talk about our dance, tango, and I will tell you where you can see the best tango shows. I will recommend you the best restaurants where you can try the best Argentinian meat. You will also see the most important museums, our typical drink, our nightlife, and one of my favorite bars. I will mention you the most important shopping centers in my city, and I will give you some special tips to do the best shopping with the lowest prices. Finally, I will show you the avenue that never sleeps. To start, football is a very important item in Argentine culture. It's the most popular and the most practiced sport in the country. In Buenos Aires, football is much more than a sport. It is a spectacle lived with passion and fanatism. In many countries of the world, we are recognized as Argentinians. Do you know that Buenos Aires is the city with more football stadiums in the world? Among them, we have River Plate Stadium, which is the biggest in the country, and Boca Juniors Stadium, more popularly called La Bombonera. I'm ambostera, term used to describe Boca Juniors fans. The Bombonera, with its traditional colors blue and yellow, is one of the most emblematic stadiums in the world, and it is located in the district of La Boca. La Boca is one of the first districts founded in Buenos Aires. It is famous for its particular buildings, colorful houses, and narrow streets. One of the most important attractions of La Boca is Caminito, an area with stone streets where the houses preserve their original colors and style. The houses, made of wood and metal, are painted in strong colors, corresponding to the style of the traditional conventillo. The conventillo was a type of precarious place that at the end of the 19th century used to be the house for immigrant families. Here we can find many restaurants and bars to sit down and eat something while enjoying outdoor tango shows and other street artists. We can also find a great offer of stores to buy souvenirs. Although during the day La Boca is one of the most memorable neighborhoods of the city, when night falls it becomes one of the most dangerous places. So it's better to visit it in the morning and not go far from the most touristic streets. La Boca is also known as the quarter where the tango was born. Tango is a musical style and a dance that revolutionized popular culture by introducing a sensual dance that is performed as a couple embracing each other. It is one of the cultural icons of Argentine people. Tango can be found in every corner of the city, with both its music and its dance. Buenos Aires has a great offer of places where you can learn to dance tango and enjoy a good dinner watching a tango show at the same time. Some of these places are El Querandí, El Viejo Almacén, and Señor Tango. These places offer a unique experience where you can take a tango class and then stay for a dinner while attending a tango show. Another iconic district in Buenos Aires where we can find artistic expressions like tango is San Telmo. San Telmo is one of the oldest and most traditional districts in Buenos Aires. There, we can find a marked colonial architecture and stone streets. Among the attractions that can be visited in San Telmo, there are some ancient churches, bars, restaurants, museums, shops, and the Antiques and Craft Fair located in the main square, named Plaza Dorrego. On Sundays, this area is crowded with people who visit the San Telmo Fair, buy handicrafts and antiques, and enjoy the great variety of street artists, such as musicians, dancers, magicians, and living statues. Buenos Aires is a great gastronomic pole where we can find a wide variety of restaurants for all likes. But we must highlight the Argentinian meat, that is considered the best meat in the world. The most typical Argentinian meat is the asado, usually accompanied by French fries or salad. It can be eaten at any grill in the city. The city offers a lot of grills in all areas, but I will highlight some of them which I consider to be the best. They are Don Julio in Palermo, La Cabrera, also in Palermo, and Siga la Vaca in Puerto Madero. Puerto Madero is one of the youngest districts. There, we can find a great gastronomic and 5-star hotels offer. It is one of the most luxurious and safe areas in Buenos Aires. Puerto Madero has a whole pedestrian area around the different docks. Very nice to walk and to enjoy the river and the open air. The symbol of Puerto Madero is the Woman Bridge, named Puente de la Mujer, whose design is a synthesis of the image of a couple dancing tango. It is the perfect place to take a typical picture of Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is a city with a great cultural development that offers a variety of national and international art museums of all disciplines, ranging from old emblematic works to contemporary pieces. I will highlight the National Museum of Fine Arts, the Malva Museum of Latin American Art of Buenos Aires, and the Museum of Modern Art. Art and culture have such an important place in Buenos Aires that once a year, the Night of the Museums takes place. It consists of a night where all museums remain open and offer free activities for all tastes and ages until the early morning. We can find exhibitions, music, theater, and much more. Another place you cannot miss in Buenos Aires is Recoleta. It is a residential district that stands out for its great cultural places, historical monuments, and its large parks. Among these places, we can highlight Plaza Francia, a large park with a craft fair that opens every weekend, and the Recoleta Cemetery, which is one of the main touristic attractions. It is an extraordinary sample of the funeral design of 19th and early 20th centuries, with family pantheons and wealth of the bourgeoisie. Here you can find the remains of several protagonists of Argentine history, such as Eva Perón and presidents of the nation. Next to Recoleta Cemetery, we can find the Recoleta Cultural Center, one of the most important exhibition halls of plastic arts. In Recoleta, you can also find the National Museum of Fine Arts and the Malva, which I already mentioned. One of the monuments to visit in the area is the Floralis Generalis by Eduardo Catalano, an important monument that is a symbol of hope and eternal springtime in which everything grows and develops. Recoleta's parks are perfect for getting together with friends to drink some mates. The mate is another traditional Argentine icon. Argentinians drink mate, and it is part of everyday life in many homes and workplaces. Mate is an infusion made from yerba mate leaves, with a bitter taste. This is why some people prefer to sweeten it. This is a mate. It consists of a kind of wooden cup where you put the yerba, the water, and then the bombilla. This is a bombilla. I don't know how to say this in English. The infusion is drunk from the bombilla and passed from one person to the other in a round who continues drinking it. I'm going to talk about my favorite place of Buenos Aires, Palermo. Palermo is the largest district of the city and is divided into many areas: Palermo Viejo, Palermo Hollywood, Palermo Soho, Palermo Chico, and others. Here we can see the Palermo Woods. They are the green lung of the city. These woods include a lot of parks and green spaces. People usually go there on weekends to do sports, run, ride their bikes, take a boat ride, or sunbathe in front of the lakes. I'm going to talk about Palermo Soho, an area of the Palermo district, with hundreds of thematic bars, restaurants, discos, art galleries, design and decoration houses, and many commercial stores for shopping. It is an ideal place to go out for a walk and take original pictures in these particular streets decorated with graffitis. In addition, Palermo Soho is the nightlife center of Buenos Aires. Here, many dinners end in longer outings. We find many bars, discos, and nightlife movement from about 9 p.m. to 7 or 8 a.m. There are bars with alternative theater, live music, cycles with jazz, funk, and soul. I'm going to mention an original bar called Frank's, located here in Palermo Soho. This bar honors the times of the prohibition of alcohol, the dry law. To enter, you must have a specific password that is posted during the week on the bar's social networks. Once the password is given, you enter the bar through a kind of American phone box and go to the hall where you find a wonderful place, set as an American club from the 20s and a bar where the drinks they serve are excellent. If you want to go shopping, don't miss our shopping centers. In my opinion, the most beautiful ones are Patio Bullrich and Alto Palermo, where you can find the most famous trademarks. You can buy clothes and other articles at very good prices, since for tourists, everything is very cheap here. Listen, I will tell you a secret. If you want to get the same items of clothing at lower prices, you should come to Aguirre Street. The best outlets will be waiting for you. And then you can visit me. as I live just around the corner of these shops. Buenos Aires is a great city. It is also worth mentioning the great amount of theater offerings. Most of the theaters are located on Corrientes Avenue, called the street that never sleeps, since it has the largest concentration of bookstores, theaters, and cinemas. On this street, there is also the iconic obelisk, a historical monument built in 1936 to commemorate the 4th centenary of the first foundation of Buenos Aires. Whoever visits Buenos Aires cannot miss taking a photo of this monument, located at the intersection of the two most important avenues, Corrientes Avenue and 9 de Julio Avenue. To visit all the places I talked about, you can use different means of transport: buses, taxis, and undergrounds. We have 6 lines, but the most useful ones are Line B by Corrientes Avenue and Line D by Santa Fe Avenue. This is Luna, and this is my city report from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I hope to see you soon in my city. Hello, my name is Luna, and as I previously said in another videos, I'm graduated in Tourist and Hotel Management. I'm from Buenos Aires City, Argentina. I'm 27 years old, and when I was 23, I went to Mexico, where I lived for 1 year. Then I lived in Brazil for 2 years, working in tourism and hotel management. I lived in different places of this country, mostly in Rio de Janeiro city. Between 1808 and 1822, Rio de Janeiro was the capital of Portugal, and in 1822 it was the capital of Brazil, until 1960 when Brasilia was inaugurated and it became the new capital of the country. Rio de Janeiro is the second city in population with approximately 1 million inhabitants. People born in Rio de Janeiro are popularly called cariocas. Known in all the world as Cidade Maravilhosa, Wonderful City, for its cultural icons and amazing landscapes, is one of the main economical and financial points of Brazil. In this video, I will show you places and tourist attractions such as the Redeemer Christ, a monument whose image represents Rio de Janeiro. I will also show you another tourist icon, the Pão de Açúcar, from where you can appreciate the best panoramic views of the city. You will also see the most beautiful beaches of the city, Copacabana and Ipanema, known worldwide for the song Garota de Ipanema. I will talk about the famous Rio de Janeiro Carnival, the most important event of the year. I will mention another of the most important areas, Lapa, where the Escadaria Celeron is located. I will also show you one of the most famous football stadiums in the world, the Maracana. I will tell you about the typical gastronomy, and especially about Caipirinha, the traditional drink of the region. I will also show you the most important museums in the city, such as the Museum of Tomorrow. Finally, I'm going to show you a place that if you like nature and adventure, you cannot miss, Morro dos Irmãos. To start talking about this amazing city, let's mention the Cristo Redentor, Redeemer Christ, icon of the city. The Redeemer Christ is a huge statue representing Jesus with open arms showing the city of Rio de Janeiro. It is located on Corcovado Hill. It is 30 meters high on a pedestal of 8 meters. It was inaugurated on October 12, 1931, after approximately 5 years of being built. It is considered the second largest Art Deco statue in the world and recognized as one of the new 7 wonders in the modern world. It is one of the most important tourist attractions in Brazil and, for the believers, a place of pilgrimage. The visit to Redeemer Christ is usually done together on the same day with the Sugar Loaf, in Portuguese, Pão de Açúcar. The Sugar Loaf is a 750-meter hill located at the opening of the Guanabara Bay. From the top of the hill, you can get beautiful panoramic views of the city. The excursion to this place consists of going up to the peak of the hill through a glass cable car called Bondinho do Pão de Açúcar, which has been operating since 1912 with a capacity of 65 passengers. The route of the cable car to the top of the hill is carried out in 2 sections. The first one goes from Praia Vermelha to the top of Morro da Urca, and the second part of the route reaches the Sugarloaf Hill, from where the best views can be appreciated. The ideal time to ascend is during sunset, since at that time of the day the landscape becomes magical. Rio de Janeiro is not only a beautiful city with a great urban life and wonderful places, but it is also a great beach tourist destination. The 2 main and most famous beaches are located in Copacabana and Ipanema. Copacabana is located in the south zone of the city. There we can find lots of events and artistic movements, as well as a great hotel offer. Copacabana Beach, known for its hectic activity during day and night, is one of the most visited beaches. And not only is it perfect to enjoy a day of sea and sun, but also to practice water and beach sports, such as football or volleyball. The main walking attraction is along the famous street decorated with drawings in shape of waves, where hundreds of tourists and residents walk or run every day or sit in some of its many bars to drink coconut water or some other traditional drinks. Next to Copacabana, there is another area called Ipanema. Ipanema is a very sophisticated area which became famous in the world for the song Girl from Ipanema, in Portuguese Garota de Ipanema, sung by Vinicius de Moraes. Like Copacabana, Ipanema Beach is another of the most outstanding beaches in Rio de Janeiro and perfect to enjoy a sunny day. Another activity to do in Ipanema is going shopping. You can find many of the most exclusive fashion stores as well as a large number of art galleries. Once a year, the Carnival, the most famous party in Brazil, takes place. It is celebrated in all regions of the country, but mostly here in Rio de Janeiro. It consists of a party that lasts 4 days, which takes place in the Sambódromo, and whose main attraction is the electric trios, decorated trucks guided by samba schools, which move musical bands that play live. Each samba school represents a neighborhood or a city, and they work all year long to prepare the parade. Each school chooses a theme and style. One of the most famous is Beija-Flor. But during the carnival days, not only the Sambódromo vibrates. Every corner of the city is a party where street bands fill every place with music. In addition, many private parties are organized during the carnival, such as that of the Copacabana Hotel, one of the most emblematic. The main purpose of the carnival is cultural, as it helps to keep alive the historical traditions of the country. It is a unique artistic event in the world. Another place we can't miss if we visit Rio de Janeiro is Lapa. Lapa is an area located in the center of the city, known for its great nightlife and, above all, for its Celeron Staircase, in Portuguese, Escadaria Celeron. The Celeron Staircase is famous for its colorful decoration. It has 125 meters and 215 steps. It is completely covered with ceramic pieces of different colors, sizes, and shapes. It was made by the plastic artist Jorge Celeron, who, as he became more famous, received tiles and ceramic as gifts from travelers from all over the world. Then he placed them on the stairs. Today, there are more than 2,000 tiles from 60 different countries. If we talk about Lapa, we can't forget to mention the great night movement in this area. Every weekend, the streets are crowded with people enjoying the nightlife. We can find a lot of bars like Semenci Agnestu, restaurants like Nova Capella, discos, and open-air shows. If we talk about Rio de Janeiro, we cannot fail to mention the importance of football in this city. Here you can find one of the most famous football temples in the world, the Maracana Stadium, the second most visited attraction in Rio de Janeiro. It was inaugurated in 1950, hosting the World Cup that year. It was the host of the World Cup in 2014, when the stadium was remodeled for this event. Through time, the Maracana became a multi-purpose space and received events and shows from great artists such as Paul McCartney, Madonna, and the Rolling Stones. The Maracana offers guided tours every day, where you can take a full tour of the stadium, visiting the changing rooms, accessing the VIP area, and the press room. With respect to gastronomy, Rio de Janeiro's dishes are characterized by the use of marine ingredients and meats. The typical dish we can find in all the bars and restaurants of the city is the feijoada, composed of stew of beans with pork. As I mentioned, the use of marine ingredients is typical in the region, and there is a great variety of dishes that include them. For example, the moqueca, a soup based on shrimp, prawns, and octopus. Another typical Brazilian food is coxinha. It is a snack with chicken wrapped in a breaded and fried duff. It is delicious. In addition to these traditional dishes, we cannot fail to mention the Caipirinha, a typical Brazilian cocktail. It is said that in Rio de Janeiro we can find the best caipirinhas in the world. It is made with cachaça, a local liquor based on cane sugar. It is mixed with lime, sugar, and ice. You can enjoy this cocktail in any corner of the city, but I especially recommend Academia do Cachaça, where they make excellent caipirinhas. Rio de Janeiro is not only a destination of nature, beach, and sun, but also a city where we can find a great cultural offer of very interesting museums. we can visit the National Historical Museum, where you can take a tour of the history of Brazil and observe a large collection of objects and historical art. We can also see the Centro Cultural Banco do Brasil, located in the center of the city. This building was the home of several financial institutions. It also served as the main office of the Bank of Brazil between 1920 and 1960. Today, it is one of the largest spaces for cultural diffusion in this country, presenting a variety of artistic expressions such as theater, dance, music, cinema, and plastic arts. Another cultural space that we cannot fail to mention is the Museum of Tomorrow. This science museum is one of the most modern in the world and was inaugurated in 2015. It stands out for its great design made by the Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. It is built next to the sea in the Maua Quay. The museum mixes science with an original design focused on a sustainable world. The main idea of the Museum of Tomorrow is that it is not ready. Tomorrow is a construction. This is not a museum of objects, it is a museum of ideas. For the adventure lovers, another natural place to visit in Rio de Janeiro is Morro dos Irmãos, in English, the Brothers' Hill. Morro dos Irmãos is a rocky formation with two peaks that is reached through a paved road, so anyone can do this activity. On the way, we can find 4 viewpoints of different heights, from which you get amazing views of the Redeemer Christ statue, Copacabana, and Ipanema. The main attraction is the top of the Irmão Mayor, the elder brother, the highest one, from where you can appreciate wonderful panoramic views. In addition, along the way, you can find endangered species and great vegetation. To visit all the places I talked about, you can use different means of transport: buses, taxis, underground, and the electric streetcar that was recently incorporated. It is a modern streetcar system without cables, designed to lessen the heavy traffic inside the city. Rio de Janeiro is located in a bay, so in some cases the way to get to places of interest is through ferry and boats. In this way, you can reach islands and beaches that are close to the city, such as Bucios or Ilha Grande. This is Luna, and this is my city report from Rio de Janeiro. Hello, my name is Luna. I'm graduated in tourism and hotel management. I'm from Buenos Aires City, Argentina. I'm 27 years old, and when I was 23, I went to live in Mexico. I lived there for 1 year. In this video, I will talk about Mexico City. Mexico City, previously known as the Federal District or DF, is the capital of Mexico. It is one of the largest cities in the world, and it has a population of approximately 9 million inhabitants. It is the largest urban center in Mexico and its main political, social, and economic center. It is one of the most fascinating cultural destinations in the world. Mexico City was founded by the Aztecas, a native community, under the name of Tenochtitlan in the 14th century. The city grew and became the Great Azteca Empire. In 1520, it was conquered and destroyed by the Spanish, who built the city from the ruins. In this video, I will show you the historical center of the city and its most emblematic places. I will also talk about the great cultural and musical icon of Mexico, the mariachi. I will tell you about Teotihuacan, one of the most impressive archaeological sites in the world, and its incredible pyramids. I will show you the most important museums, such as the National Museum of Anthropology and the Museum of the great artist Frida Kahlo. You will also see the great Chapultepec Park and its wonderful castle. I will tell you about Mexican food and its special characteristic, spicy seasoning, and I will teach you the traditional way of drinking tequila. I will also show you the Paseo de la Reforma and its iconic monument, the Independence Angel. It's impossible to talk about Mexico without talking about the famous and revolutionary artist Frida Kahlo. Finally, another Mexican tradition I will talk about is the Death's Day, el Día de los Muertos. The historical center of Mexico City is the original site around which the current Mexican capital grew. This place has a great cultural treasures of the country. Its central point is the Zócalo, a name used to refer to the main square, one of the biggest in the world. It is surrounded by the Metropolitan Cathedral, built over 3 centuries. It is the largest cathedral in the American continent. Nearby, we can see the ruins of the Templo Mayor, an archaeological site destroyed by the Spanish in 1520 and discovered in 1813. Nowadays, it is a museum visited by tourists from all over the world. Around the Zócalo, we also find the National Palace, seat of the Mexican government. Inside the building, the walls contain murals by Diego Rivera, a well-known Mexican artist. His murals describe the history of Mexico. In this area, we can also see the old City Hall and the government building. Around the historical center, we can find a great variety of emblematic places, distributed in the south, north, east, and west. I want to highlight the western area where we can find the Alameda Central, a public park, Café Tacuba, a nice restaurant, the Metropolitan Theater, the Fine Arts Palace, one of the most beautiful concert halls in the world, and the Latin American Tower, the first skyscraper in the city. When we talk about Mexico, we cannot fail to mention its great cultural icon, the mariachi. Mariachi is a musical genre from Mexico, and mariachis is also the word used to refer to the musicians and musical groups that play this genre. Mariachis have as a characteristic their original clothes, generally in black or white, but shiny, adding some colors, and their typical charro hats. The main instruments played by the mariachis are the guitar, violin, and trumpet. It is usual to listen to their music at public or private parties and family meetings, but also it is very common to hear them when we go out to eat at some typical Mexican restaurants, walking through the streets, and at Garibaldi Square, where they perform every night. One of the most emblematic places in the city is Teotihuacan, which means place where men become gods. Teotihuacan was one of the largest urban centers in the ancient world and currently constitutes the area of archaeological monuments with the highest affluence of tourists in Mexico. In 1977, it was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, and although Teotihuacan has continued to be researched for over a century, only 5% of the ruins have been excavated to date. In Teotihuacan, we can observe 2 famous pyramids, the Pyramid of the Sun and Pyramid of the Moon. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest construction in Teotihuacan, with 260 steps. The legend says that standing at the top in the center of the platform, you can make a wish, and it will surely come true. Until today, no one knows who built the pyramids and the rest of Teotihuacan. It is a mystery. It is clear that Mexico City is full of culture and history. That is why we cannot fail to mention the National Museum of Anthropology. This museum was built between 1963 and 1964, and it has 22 permanent exhibition rooms and 3 auditoriums. Inside it, we can find the National Library of Anthropology and History. Every year, it attracts more than 2 million visitors. Its collection is composed of numerous archaeological and ethnographic pieces from all over Mexico, such as the Stone of the Sun, the colossal heads of the Olmec culture, the Teotihuacan sculptures dedicated to the water gods, and the Tomb of Pacal, among others. To visit this museum is to take a tour around the ancient region of Mesoamerica and the vast millenary cultures that have influenced in the present Mexico. This museum is located in the Chapultepec Park. Chapultepec Park is a large urban park with 3 artificial lakes, sport facilities, several fountains, monuments and museums, such as the National Museum of Anthropology. It is one of the most visited places in Mexico by Mexicans and tourists. Chapultepec Park is divided into 3 sections. I will highlight the first section, which is where you will find Paseo de la Reforma, Chapultepec Zoo, Tamayo Park, Chapultepec Lake, the National Museum of Anthropology, and Chapultepec Castle, among others. It is possible to visit the Castle of Chapultepec, which is considered a reference of the history of Mexico, whose purpose is to preserve the residential sense that the authorities gave it. Today, it is a museum that keeps within its walls the memory of Mexico. It's time to talk about Mexican gastronomy. Mexican food is known for being very spicy, and this is because chile, a very spicy condiment, is indispensable at Mexican's table. There are many types and intensities of chili peppers, and all their meals contain chili. Among the main Mexican dishes, we find the chile relleno, that, as its name indicates, consists of a hot pepper that is filled with meat and vegetables. Also, we have the enchiladas, which are tortillas stuffed with chile sauces. And finally, a very representative food of this culture, the tacos. Tacos are a rolled-up tortilla which can be filled with meat, vegetables, and cheese. One of the things you have to do when visiting the city is drinking tequila, the most representative drink in Mexico. Tequila is a drink with a strong alcoholic content, and it has a very particular way for being drunk. Tequila is served in a little glass like this one. Okay, first you have to put the salt in your hand, right here, and with the glass in your other hand, you drink the tequila in one go. Then you lick the salt, and after having drunken, you take the lemon to your mouth. It is said that salt and lemon are used to reduce the impact of the shot and remove the strong sensation of alcohol. Besides tequila, other typical Mexican drinks are mezcal and michelada, which is prepared by mixing beer, lemon juice, spice, and salt. To enjoy all the gastronomy I mentioned before, I recommend visiting the Paseo de la Reforma, the most important and emblematic avenue in the city. This avenue crosses a large part of the city, going through very touristic points. Here we can find a great variety of restaurants, museums, monuments, art, and a lot more. Among the monuments that we can find in this visit, I will talk about the Angel of Independency, in Spanish, El Ángel de la Independencia, a symbol of the city. This monument, considered a cultural icon, was erected in 1910 to commemorate the centenary of the beginning of the Independence Mexican War. At its base lies a mausoleum that contains the remains of the heroes of the independence, and it can now be visited. The Paseo de la Reforma is a perfect area to visit at night, since it has many bars and restaurants and an important nightlife. Here we can also see the Reforma Tower, the highest building in the city, the Monument and Museum of the Revolution, the Museum of Popular Art, the craft market La Ciudadela, movie theaters, and the Diego Rivera's Mural Museum, among others. It is in Mexico City where the great painter and plastic artist Frida Kahlo was born. Her story is touching and fascinating, since from a very early age she was deeply affected by physical suffering. At the age of 6, she caught polio. Then, at the age of 18, she suffered a terrible accident while traveling on a bus, which kept her prostrating in bed for many years. It was then when she began her education in art. Later, she turned into her work the suffering to which her body was exposed, since she went through more than 32 operations in her life. She was married to the Mexican artist Diego Rivera, with whom she had a stormy and passionate relationship, involving them not only in art but also in the politics of their time, the Mexican Revolution. Frida is a character with a life full of pain and mystery, which was captured in her paintings, where the self-portrait is her main motive. La Casa Azul, the Blue House, the home where Frida Kahlo used to paint, is today one of the most popular museums in Mexico City, where we can find some of her most important artworks. The Casa Azul is located in the Coyoacán area, where you can also visit a famous market of regional food and beautiful handicrafts. Mexicans have the well-known tradition of the Death's Day, Día de los Muertos. It is a celebration where the memory of the dead is honored. It is said that on this day they return home to stay with their relatives and to nourish themselves with the offerings left to them. This celebration is so important that on this day the city's colorful streets are crowded with people in costumes, decorated balconies, and craft fairs. In addition, everyone is prepared to welcome the Day of Dead Parade, which is more than a kilometer long and commemorates the historical periods of Mexico. This tradition is so iconic and important that it was even reflected in the famous Disney World movie Coco. To visit all the places I talked about, you can use different means of transport: buses, taxis, underground, and moreover the tourist bus, which is perfect to visit the main places. It is important to keep in mind that Mexico City is overloaded with traffic. It is said that people are always asked to arrive an hour earlier to make sure they are on time. This is Luna, and this is my city report from Mexico City.
Welcome back to a new video of City Report. I'm Victoria Narduzzi, I'm 21 years old and I'm studying journalism. Today I will talk about my beautiful city, Maracaibo. Before I start, I will go over what you will learn in this video. 1. Location of the city. 2. History. 3. Interesting aspects. 4. Downtown and tourist places. 5. Festivities. 6. Typical food. 7. Climate. 8. Culture. One. Location of the city. To begin, I want to show you where Maracaibo is located in the extreme west of Venezuela, Zulia state. 2. History. Maracaibo is the capital of the state of Zulia and has 1,653 million inhabitants. My beautiful city was founded in 1529 by the German Ambrosio Halfinger, who gave it the name of Maracaibo. The name comes from the cacique Mara, a 25-year-old strong man who opposed resistance against the Germans, who attacked the area. The Indians, seeing their boss die in his battle against the Germans, they shoot Mara cayó, and that is how the name of the capital Zulia was originated. Although other researchers affirm that the place where Maravina city rise was then called in Indian language Maracaibo, which translates into Spanish as el lugar donde abundan las serpientes, or in English as the place where snakes abound. Maracaibo is the most important economic center in western Venezuela due to the oil industry that develops on the shores of the Lake of Maracaibo. Maracaibo was culturally separated from the rest of the country for geographical and historical reasons. Lake Maracaibo, unlike many of its neighboring states and Caracas itself, the capital of Venezuela, keep in many ways linked to the past cultures. Therefore, the people of Maracaibo receive Andalusian influence from the conquerors and applied the use vos instead of tú, which means you in Spanish language. 3. Interesting aspects. An interesting aspect of the city is the humor of its people, Maracuchos. They are very funny, they always happy, and they look for the good side of the bad times, all the time. Another interesting aspect of the city is the music, the Zulian Gaita, which is traditionally here before the start of the Christmas season, at the beginning of October, filling the streets with joy. And also how colorful its streets are. Churches and colonial houses. The striking colors of the facades of the houses are because when this sector was consolidated, the streets were made of dirt, and as the sidewalks are very narrow, the facades are almost literally on the street. Painting them white or light color was a complete nuisance because the earth ended up giving color to the walls. In addition to the purchasing power that the oil boom achieved, it gave the people the power to acquire this type of paintings, thus leaving an incredible architectural finish. For example, the Church of Santa Barbara, the houses around the center and the Saladillo. 4. Downtown and tourist places. Also, the land of the beloved sun has several wonderful tourist sites, such as the Basilica of Our Lady of Chiquinquirá. It's the most popular Catholic temple in the state of the Zulia. Located in the center of the city of Maracaibo. This structure is dedicated to the Virgin of Chiquinquirá, patron saint of Zulia. It was built in 1712 as a normal church, and it was evolving until 1941, where it became a basilica, and on November 18, in 1942, the Virgin was crowned with a 10 kilograms crown made of 18 carats of gold. The Capitulation House, on August 26, 1965, by decree of the Conservative and Protective Board of the Historical and Artistic Heritage, the Capitulation House is declared a National Historical Monument. Say that this old building, located in front of the Plaza Bolívar de Maracaibo, was built in 1750 by Inés Mancebo de Zuloaga, to be inhabited as a residence, but in 1795 it became an official residence of the colonial ruler. Francisco Tomás Morales stayed there, and the capitulation was signed at the end of the War of Independence in our country. The Barrel Theater is a theater in downtown Maracaibo, Venezuela, at the northwestern corner of historic Plaza Bolívar. The first theater on the site was built in the mid of 19th century as a small performance hall. With a subsequent theater buildings, there having seen many different reconstructions. A major Venezuela cultural institution. The theater received a National Monument designation in 1981, recognizing its location as the site of the first film screening in the country, and as a long-standing part of the historic center of Maracaibo. Bermúdez Art Center is the name given to a space that serves for theatrical presentations. As a culture center, exhibition center, museum in the city of Maracaibo. Their concerts are also held. Workshops are held, and guided tours are offered. It gets its name from the Venezuela artist and sculptor Lía Bermúdez. It was created as a foundation in 1990s, but was originally the main Maracaibo market, dating from 1930. It was updated and reconditioned under the project of the architect José Espósito, officially inaugurated in 1993. Its maintenance and management is the responsibility of the regional government of Zulia State, under the figure of foundation. The St. Peter and St. Paul Cathedral, or just Maracaibo Cathedral, is the main church of Maracaibo in the Zulia State of Venezuela. It was built in the 17th century. Pope Leo designated it as a cathedral on 25 July 1897. And together with the Archbishop's Palace is the seat of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese in Maracaibo. The square of the Rosary of Our Lady of Chiquinquirá. It was built in 2004 in front of the Basilica. La Vereda del Lago, that in addition to giving us a beautiful view of the lake of Maracaibo, allow us to observe the General Rafael Urdoneta Bridge. Is locally called Puente sobre el Lago. This is a bridge that across the narrowest part of the lake and connects the city with the rest of the country. Was named from the General Rafael Urdoneta, the Zuliano hero of Venezuela Independence, the second largest bridge in Latin America, and ranks number 65 among the longest in the world. was inaugurated on August 24, 1962 by President Rómulo Betancourt. The Maracaibo Botanical Garden. It is unique in its style. Its importance is based on its high botanical and artistic value. As a result of the union of two master creators of this garden school, one, the Brazilian plastic artist and the landscape artist Roberto Burle Marx, and the other Aristigueta, a renewed Venezuelan science. This gives it as a special character as expressed by the architect Carla Urbina by relating aspects such as nature and man, art and science. 5. Festivities. Maracaibo, besides being a city that attracts the tourist attention for its beautiful culture, it also has festivities full of joy, as the Chiquinquirá Fair. That is one of my favorites, since in addition to paying tribute to our Virgin, we listen to gaitas as we celebrate her appearance. Another festivity is the Pozón of Saladillo, that is celebrated on December 24 and December 31 in the Saladillo neighborhood, where Maracuchos celebrate the new year like never before, with their friends and family. 6. Typical food. Talking a little about our typical food, I must say that we have a traditional gastronomy that is included in Venezuelan food in general. There are a great variety of plates, like the patacón, the tequeños, pastries, tumbarranchos, empanadas, pabellón are so delicious. Also, I must add our street food from Cecilia Costa, where they sell some huge hamburgers, and we can put aside the dulce de lechosa y la galleta de huevo. 7. Climate. Regarding the climate, it's semi-arid warm. It's super hot in here. 8. Culture. In the culture of Maracaibo, there are several types of Guajiras ethnic groups. The well-known Guajiros, or Guayú, as they call, are settled in the Guajira Peninsula of the Zulia State. They speak the Guayú or Guayunaqui language. They dedicate themselves more than everything to the planting of coffee, yuca, banana, and many of them to craft, to making the well-known Guajiras blankets, hamacas, hats, like this one that I'm wearing, shoes like these ones. Let me show you. They are so beautiful. And tapestry. Maracaibo is characterized by having its craft very rich in artistical expressions. The most popular craft is the Guajira, which has been transmitted from generation to generation. You can find all of this craft, hats, shoes, Guajiras, Guajira blanket, hamacas, and other things, in the Guajiro market, which is located on Milagro Avenue in Maracaibo. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do not forget to give me a like and subscribe. This was Victoria Donalduzzi, and this was my city report. Welcome back to a new video of City Report. I'm Victoria Narduzzi and I'm here today to talk about my beautiful country, Venezuela, and to talk about his beautiful capital, Caracas. Previously, I spoke about my city, Maracaibo. I hope you enjoyed it. To begin, I want to show you where my country is located in the north of South America. Its limit is very close to the line of the terrestrial equator. Therefore, it is part of the intertropical zone. My country has approximately 28.87 million inhabitants, according to the 2018 census. The history of Venezuela reflects events in the areas of the Americas colonized by Spain starting at 1522, led by native caciques such as Huaycaipuro and Tamaco. However, in the Andean region of western Venezuela, complex Andean civilization of the Teotihuacan people flourished before the European contact. It became one of the first Spanish-American colonies to declare independence, which was not securely established until 1821, when Venezuela was a department of the Federal Republic of Gran Colombia. It gained full independence as a separate country in 1830. During the 19th century, Venezuela suffered political autocracy, remaining dominated by regional caudillos, military strongmen. Until the mid of 20th century, since 1958, the country has a series of democratic governments. Economic shocks in the 1980s led to several political crises, including the deadly Caracas riots of 1989 and the impeachment of the President Carlos Andrés Pérez. A collapse in confidence in the existing parties saw the 1998 election of former COP involved career officer Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías, and the launch of the Bolivarian Revolution, beginning with a 1999 Constituent Assembly to write a new constitution of Venezuela. This new constitution officially changed the name of Venezuela to República Bolivariana de Venezuela, in English, Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. The national flag of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, or the colors of the rainbow, a favorite expression of its creator, is inspired by the design made by the Captain Lino, the Clemente y Palacios, and the General Francisco de Miranda Rodriguez for the American Confederation of Venezuela. It is made up of the colors yellow, blue, and red, in equal horizontal stripes, and in the middle of the blue, 8-point white stars, placed in an arc. Venezuela has several beautiful cities, so I will name the most important. Caracas. How could it be otherwise? Let's start talking about Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, and the most populated city in the country. Unfortunately for its inhabitants, it has been chosen as the most violent city in the world, in a report prepared by the organization Seguridad, Justicia y Paz, in English, Security, Justice and Peace. Its main attractions are the climate, its large number of shopping centers, and the many options for entertainment and cultural events. Maracaibo. The second most populated city in Venezuela is Maracaibo, the city when I was born and I raised, which is the capital of the Zulia state. Is the most important economic center in the west of the country, especially due to the oil industry. Develops of the banks of the lakes with the same name, Lake of Maracaibo. The city is considered the most cleanest in the country. The color of its churches and colonial houses is amazing. Valencia. Valencia is the third most populated city in Venezuela. We are talking about the capital of Carabobo state. It's also important that you keep in mind that Valencia is home to interesting museums and numerous parks. Barquisimeto. In Lara state, we find the fourth most populated city in Venezuela. It is about Barquisimeto, which is considered one of the oldest cities in the country. It is important to keep in mind that Barquisimeto is an important artistic and cultural nucleus. In fact, it's the birthplace of the great artists and musicians. Venezuela not only has beautiful cities, but also has some wonderful places to visit and enjoy nature, such as Mount Roraima, located on the border with Guyana and Brazil. It corresponds to one of the most famous natural jewels of Venezuela. The park was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, whose vast extension places it among the largest national parks in the world. The spectacular scenery of the park, both its imposing rock formation, stand out, with vertical walls and almost flat peaks, known as tepuis, as well as the enormous waterfalls, which are El Cuquenan and Angel Falls, the latter the highest waterfall in the world. Morocco National Park, another national park that could not be out of any ranking of the best tourist places in Venezuela, located in the southern part of the Caribbean Sea, in the terrestrial zone of the park. The areas of exuberant mangroves and beautiful inlets are characterized of white sand beaches and turquoise water, while its marine area has the attraction of privileged underwater scenarios, where you can practice snorkeling in an ecosystem of extraordinary biodiversity. Mochima National Park, a park with beautiful natural settings, including coral reef and mangroves. The greatest fame of the place comes from its Caribbean beaches, both those that extend in the continental area and those hidden among the many islands of the park. Among all of them, you cannot fail to mention Playa Colorada, a beautiful beach with crystal waters and golden sands surrounded by coconut trees and mangrove. Los Roques, another of the wonderful places in Venezuela to visit in the Caribbean region, made up of some 50 islands and hundreds of small keys, where probably some of the most wonderful beaches in the country are hidden, characterized by their white sands and warm waters. La Colonia Tovar, a small city full of charms located just 42 kilometers from Caracas, a town founded at the end of the 19th century by German immigrants. The Colonia Tovar traditions and festivities are still appreciated. Eating German food in its restaurants, visiting ceramic craft workshops, and drinking typical beers. Now I will focus on the capital of my beautiful country, Caracas. Caracas is located in the north-central coastal area of the country. Although close to the coast, the city is located almost 900 meters above the sea level, separated from the central coastline by the Cordillera de la Costa, which as it passes through the urban nucleus is constituted as the Guaray Repano, or Avila National Park. Talking about the population of Caracas, in the last census carried out in 2015, Caracas has 2.82 million inhabitants. History. Caracas, officially Santiago de León de Caracas. It is the federal capital of Venezuela, as well as its administrative, financial, commercial, and cultural center, as the seat of the public powers of the nation. The Spanish discovered the Venezuelan coast in the 15th century, during the 1498, and began their colonization in this region, making the first attempt in what is now known as the city of Caracas before the arrival of the Spanish. The territory where the city is today was inhabited by indigenous Caracas. These, like other aborigines of Venezuela, were defenders of their freedom, their traditions, and their families' customs. The name of Caracas comes from the tribe that inhabited one of the coastal valleys, the Valley of Los Caracas, a place named still in force, which because they are Indians known and treated by the Spanish settled on the Pearl Island of Cubagua in their slave expedition of those coasts. The architecture of Caracas is interesting, complicated, and attractive. This is Caracas, a city that awakens inspiration when walking through its streets and avenues. It is also a jewel in architecture. Now I will name 6 wonders architecture of the city. University City. It's the main campus of the Central University of Venezuela. It was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO for the year 2000 and is located in the San Pedro Parish of the Libertador. It is one of the most important works of contemporary architecture and urban planning, created by the Venezuelan architect Carlos Raúl Villanueva. Venezuela Square. This icon of the capital city is located in the El Recreo Parish. It was inaugurated in 1940. It is a combination of a pedestrian walkway and a road distributor that houses one of the city icons. Illuminated fountain to walk through. It is to marvel at its beautiful fountain, a representative symbol of Caracas. This square not only connects 4 points of the city, it is also a space for recreation and enjoyment for everyone who visits it. Grand Melia Caracas Suites and Comfort Center. This majestic hotel opened its doors to the public in 1998, designed by the architect Michel Benco, located in the Bellomonte de Caracas urbanization, which has access through Casanova and Venezuela avenues. Chacao Cultural Center. The Chacao Cultural Center is located on Tamaco de El Rosal Avenue as one of the most outstanding exponents of art and creativity. Work of the Venezuelan architect Juan Machado was commissioned to project the theater in 1996, a building designed by the architect Álvaro Rodríguez. In 2003, Juan Machado and Eric Brewer carried out the adaptation of the infrastructure, and the following year, it was inaugurated. It is a mandatory stop for all those who love art and want to know more about it. Teresa Carreno. The construction of the Teresa Carreno Theater Cultural Complex began at the end of 1972. It's located between Central Park and Los Cabos Park. For its design, a competition was held, in which the architects Tomás Lugo, Jesús Sandoval, and Dietrich Kundel were the winners. The entire complex is a source of sensations for those who visit it. It is impossible to walk through it without being impressed. Caracas Cathedral. This church, built in 1665, has gone through various reconstruction processes. It is made of neoclassical elements and has 3 bodies that overlook 4 streets. It has a basilica plan, separated from the side by octagonal section columns. In our country, the religious architecture is very important. This is one of the cases in which constructions goes beyond beliefs and becomes a symbol that represents its citizens. National Pantheon. The history of this monument is quite rich. It began as the Santísima Trinidad Church, but after the earthquake of 1812, it was left in ruin. Being in the process of restoration, it was decreed as a national pantheon in 1850. It has a neo-Gothic style, and its roof is covered by 70 artist works by the painter Tito Salas. The Botanical Garden. The Botanical Garden is part of the University City of Caracas, housing 70 hectares, where more than 2,000 plant species coexist. This space is one of the best tourist places in Caracas, for those looking for an educational space in contact with nature. Las Mercedes. Las Mercedes corresponds to one of the most tourist areas of Caracas. The most cool hotels, exclusive restaurants, designer stores, shopping centers, and art galleries are concentrated. It is also an area famous for its nightlife, with plenty of bars and clubs. The heart of Las Mercedes is Plaza Alfredo Sadel, where different events and cultural activities take place in the open air. Another of its iconic sites is the Paseo Las Mercedes shopping center, with several shops, restaurants, hotels, cinema and theaters. The time has come to talk about our typical food. Caracas offers several typical meals, among which are, for example, el asado negro criollo, la arepa, el pabellón criollo, that it is a national dish, and la ensalada de gallina. Our typical drinks are la chicha, tisana, carato. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you soon in Venezuela. Do not forget to give me a like and subscribe. This was Victoria Narduzzi, and this is my city report.